Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor and I help people navigate through their ascension process. And this video is going to hopefully make you aware of a psychic ability that I presume you already have. Most people who identify with any of the things I talk to on my channel, lightworkers, starseeds, wanderers, awakening, ascension, etc., are extremely claircognizant. And what that really means is you just know stuff, oftentimes without the why. You'll know something in a variety of different situations and you won't know how you came to that. It's sort of a subtle, it's sort of deep, oftentimes just a intuitive knowing is the best way I would put it. An intuitive knowing, a feeling that you could articulate into words if you needed to, but it's more of a bit more than a hunch. And you might find yourself a lot of times just knowing stuff, knowing what the next step is in life, knowing when a person or a situation or a job or something is not right for you. And even though you don't know why, you just know. So just to kind of give you a couple of different more like concrete examples, I'll just go through a couple things that came to mind when I was thinking about this video that I think will help illuminate what I'm saying more clearly if you're still not sure, because just knowing something is a bit vague, I suppose. So I remember a noticeable time where this sort of showed up in my life was a few years ago when we were house shopping for the most recent house we lived in. And I remember my realtor would get really annoyed with me because I'd step out of the car and I would know whether the house right then and there is right for us or not. I would just know it's not the house. And she would ask me like, why? Well, she's trying to get an idea of like, well, let me help this guy find an ideal house for him. She couldn't make sense of my instant knowings, you could say, and it just bugged her. And I remember the one time we finally found our house, we just stepped in it, and it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like, I could just feel it. I just knew it was the house for me on all levels. It was in a lot of ways, not what we were looking for. It didn't have the look or the layout or a lot of the things that we really thought were important to us, but it had the energy. It felt right. And I remember on that particular day I told her, like, listen, we're done. This is the one we want. We're putting an offer on it. I don't care. And she's like, well, no. She just couldn't wrap her mind around that. And she insisted we went and saw these other houses. And I didn't need to. And sure enough, to confirm my knowing, they weren't right for us. So that's just one of the situations. How it helps make sort of big life, almost like we can feel on an intuitive level what is a match, especially when something big like that, a big house or a big job or a move, you just sometimes know. A second way this comes on board for me is when something big happens, something really big and challenging and sometimes even negative, something sad or a big tragedy that I've experienced. I just like my faith meter, my faith kicks in and I just know it's going to be okay. I know there's a purpose to it and I know it's just part of my plan and it's somehow an unavoidable circumstance that it's going to be okay. I can handle personally the big things in life way better than the little stupid day-to-day things. Like if I tripped and I fell and I scraped my knee and I'm like in the middle in my head, that I might go ape shit and start throwing stuff or something. Not usually throwing stuff, but it just drives me nuts. But when something really big and crazy happens, I go into Zen mode. I don't know why. Because I have that knowing becomes stronger in me and I know it is going to be okay. And then lastly, I notice it quite often just in my normal day-to-day life. I can sometimes look at a person and just know their story. I can just tell that I can just know a lot about them, not specific. Don't mince my words here, and I'm not trying to say I'm some kind of super psychic. I just mean I can just sort of like see somebody with a glance and just know if they're a good person or not, if they're happy or not, I can just kind of get a whole idea of where they're at in their life. And it's not that I get signs and verbiage in my head and read energy or anything of the sort. I will just know. I won't know how I know. I won't know how I could probably talk for 5 minutes about this particular person and their life in just seeing them in an instant. It's not, I can't, again, discern the information coming. It's just, I know. And I know I'm not alone here. I know I'm not alone. I'm not, am I? You know what I'm talking about. Because you just know too, because you're on a path, you're on this spiritual ascension path. Otherwise you wouldn't be watching my videos. You'd think I'm a Fruit Loop, or you wouldn't even come in contact with this sort of video content. And now I'm going to talk about how you can hone your claircognizance, because it's a very powerful psychic skill to have that is very easily overlooked because it's so subtle. And our mind constantly is going to be at odds with this knowing. How do you know? You can't go do this based on your knowing. That's insane. That's stupid. What are you thinking? Oh yeah, maybe you're right. But here's the deal. The more you just start to take action on this knowing, these hunches, the more you will be able to train your physical mind to get on board and be more in sync with the new way of navigating your life. Because your life will prove to you that even though you didn't know why, it was in fact an amazing decision. Now, one little thing I want to leave you with is sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. There is no real set certainty in life, as we all know, and same with this, because sometimes you have a knowing about something and you go and you do take action on it, and it turns out, which can initially seem and be perceived as a negative unfoldment. For example, say, this is more of a fabricated story. Maybe you're single, maybe you're kind of lonely, and anyway, you're shopping for houses and you have the knowing, this is the house for me, perfect. You buy the house, it's all going smoothly. And you get in there, and 3 months later, the house is breaking down. It's falling apart. It's a mess. It's a piece of shit. You got yourself a lemon. You screwed yourself big time. Wow, last time I trust that knowing, right? Big mistake. And then guess what happens? You start calling different contractors. You got to get the floor replaced. And this beautiful woman enters, and it's your soulmate. And you meet your soulmate because of this. And in sort of a roundabout way, that knowing led you to something really big that makes the whole annoyingness of the house situation pale in comparison to that beautiful life-changing discovery of finding your soulmate. So don't be too quick to judge the knowingness. You just got to let it. It'll eventually always prove to you that it knows what it's doing. That knowingness is you. It's your soul. It's your higher self. And it's just this, we're in this situation where things aren't quite clear yet, and as of right now, for the time being, it's the way we can come into information, just by knowing. It's not yet clear enough, we're not yet clear enough of a channel to really know why. Or maybe it's that we don't need to know why, and it's about being more in the flow and in the moment, and being more simple and just going with our knowing. So again, the purpose of this video is hopefully to bring this to your awareness. A lot of you guys, I would bet, have these knowings, but you just don't, no one ever suggested you trust them and actually try seeing what happens when you follow them, because you might have your mind blown a few times. I know I have mine. So hope that helps you guys. Have an amazing day. Thank you for the love and the support and the kindness you've always shown me. I wish you all nothing but the best, and we'll speak to you tomorrow. Namaste.